الحمد لله الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا أما بعد فقال سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن العظيم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أذن ربكم لئن شكرتم لأزيدنكم وإن كفرتم من عذابي لشديد وقال سبحانه وتعالى وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن أول ما يسأل عنه يوم القيامة يعني العبد من النعيم أن يقال له ألم نصح لك جسمك ونرويك من الماء البارد. صدق رسول الله الكريم. Alhamdulillah, ثم alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to be here on Yawm al-Jum'ah, the best day out of all the days in the week. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to be here in establishing Salat al-Jum'ah, which is an obligation upon men who are able in other conditions. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us ability and this tawfiq to be here and establishing Yawm al-Jum'ah. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to be witnessing this blessing, the bounty that came upon us a few days ago, our Eid. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped us to transverse this month of Ramadan in which we fasted and prayed and read Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us accept our a'mal, whether they be little or great, whether they be faulty or perfect, and make us witness Ramadan again inshaAllah next year, alhamdulillah. So alhamdulillah, in the verse that I recited, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِذْ تَأْذَنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَئِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَلَئِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ مِنْ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. If you're amongst those who show gratitude, لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ, we will increase you. وَلَئِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ مِنْ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. And if you're amongst those who cover up the boundaries of Allah, show ingratitude towards Him, إِنَّ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that His punishment is very severe. So we should be in a state of thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the many innumerable, immeasurable bounties that He has given us, among which I just told you about Eid, Ramadan, and alhamdulillah. In a hadith that Rasulullah tells us about another bounty, and I recited to you, I shared with you, that Rasulullah says, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ مَا يُسْأَلُ عَنْهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ يَعْنِي الْعَبْدُ مِنَ النَّعِيمِ, that one of the first things that a servant is asked about is the blessing that has been given when he meets Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is أَن يَقَالُ لَهُ أَلَمْ نُصَحَّ لَكَ جِسْمَكَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, did I not make perfect or make whole or give health to jismak, your body? Right? And then وَنُرْوِيكَ مِنَ الْمَاءِ الْبَارِدِ, and now we give you cool water to drink. But one of the first things that is asked of us when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment will be about the benefits that we have, around the bounties that we have. And one of those is, أَلَمْ نُصَحَّ لَكَ جِسْمَكَ, did I not give wholesomeness to, give health to your bodies? So this life of ours, this life for all of us is a sa'al ila Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to that meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And we hope and we pray for that meeting to be a good one, as we're told in other narrations, that أَنَا عِنْدِي ظَنِّي عَبْدِي بِي, that I am as my servant thinks of me. That if you think and have good hope from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that meeting, then you will find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have your goodness towards you. So we should be in a state of thankfulness, in a state of hoping for reward, and a state of hoping for a good meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But on that meeting, on that day, we will be carrying with us provisions and gifts to present to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And our book of deeds will be open to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what are those provisions and those gifts that we bring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And one aspect or one category of those good deeds will be ibadah. Right? The sincerity of the ibadah, the amount of the ibadah, the khushu' and khudu' and the ibadah that we bring. As is, we have just completed Ramadan, we know about the fasting and the praying and the tilawat of the Quran, that we will be presenting this to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His acceptance and for His pleasure. Another category of our deeds that we bring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The good works, the a'mal as-salih that we do. Ones that we benefit ourselves, our community, our society, our family, that we do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, the sincerity, the ikhlas with which we do them is counted, and the measure of those deeds are taken into account. So we bring with ourselves both our ikhlas and our ibadah and our a'mal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that meeting. And we are counted. And we hope that when Allah looks upon us, as we're told in other narrations, that there will be no hijab between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His servant, that He finds us and He looks at us and He gives us the glad tidings with our book of deeds in our right hand that we enter Jannah, right? And that He keeps us as distant as possible from the other abode. But as we make our journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the question for us is to reflect, and this is a perfect time as we open a new chapter in our lives after Ramadan, and inshallah, bi'idhnillah, we are amongst those in the hadith, those who sins, right, man qama, man sama, man qum fil layl al-qadr, the one who stands at night al-qadr or fasted, or the one who prayed in Ramadan, that his sins are all forgiven. So may Allah make us of those who are in that hadith, who are counted amongst that hadith, so that our sins are all forgiven. We have a new chapter in our lives. And in that new chapter of our lives, we are now making preparation for that ultimate meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with our provisions being our ibadah and our amal as-salih. And one of the first questions that will be asked about us will be what? As the Prophet says, Alam sahha laka jismak. Did I not give wholesomeness? Did I not give health to your body? So recognize that all the amal that we do, all the ibadah that we do, is dependent upon, to an extent, our health. It is dependent upon our health. That our ability to pray and qiyam al-night, our ability to fast during the day, our ability to go on Hajj, is to some extent more or less dependent upon this bounty that He gives us of health. And so it is only then fitting that is one of the first things that will be asked about on the Day of Judgment. And when you understand that, then you will understand the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he says, "Al-mu'min al-qawi khayru wa ahabbu ila Allah, wal al-mu'min al-dha'if wa kullun fi kullin khayr." That in the mu'min who is of strength is more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and closer to Allah, right, than the one who is weak, wa fi kullin khayr. And then both of them there is good. And then he says, "Wahris ala ma yanfa'uk." That rush towards that which is of benefit to you. Rush towards that which is a benefit to you. So when we recognize that hadith in light of what we will be presenting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that our health is integral to that our health is integral and complementary and facilitator of all those a'mal and the ibadah that we do, then we will have to recognize that we must not only be thankful to this bounty of the health, but must attend to it. That not only must we be thankful and shukr, shukr yazid, as we said in the beginning, but we must be attentive to it. So for us to reflect upon that, let us just think about what we have done this past month. Aside from our ibadah and salah and our qiyam al-layl, what sort of condition do we think about what sort of care do we take for our health in this month? And what sort of care do we have intended for in the coming year? How much preventive work did we do for our health, for our bounties that He's given us? You need to only think about just one episode in our lives, or one occurrence in Ramadan, when we break our fast. When we break our fast. And there can be many ways that we break our fast, and inshallah we will be ones about the hadith, what to break with. I won't go through that. But the point is, what was the glimpse? If you were taking a snapshot of that, breaking our iftar with our families or by ourselves, how much of that reflects either of two things? The hadith that tell us that it is sufficient for a man to eat enough that his dahri, that his back is straight, or if he must go further, that he might eat 1/3, right, for food, 1/3 for drink, 1/3 for air, for nafs, right, for nafas, for the air. Or is it that we are witnessing to the Quran, where Allah SWT says, and He commands us, وَلَا تُحْلِقُوا وَلَا تَقْتَلُوا وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِيَيْدِكُمْ إِلَى تَحْلُكَ. That do not by your own hands bring yourselves to perdition, to loss. Which of those two are we witnessing to in our actions, or have we witnessed to in our actions? For we know that much of what we consume is ill for us. I mean, we know that much of that prevention is better than cure, but in our habits that we have a lot of work to do on prevention. That the amount of fat and things and sugar and things that are not good for us that we consume is amazing. So much so that's amazing that you will witness that mashallah Allah has given us this amazing science of medicine, that you will see people that they will break their fast and they will say, I want to eat that sweet, I'm going to have some a diabetic pill. I want to eat something with a lot of cholesterol, I'm going to take a cholesterol pill. I want to have something that has X, Y, Z, and so I'm going to take some medicine so that I will not feel the ill effects of that. That we use this bounty of medicine and knowledge, thinking that, look, we have no accountability for what we put in. Rather, we're only to deal with the end results of that. But that is just the physical. What about the spiritual effects? We know, and people will tell you, those who fill their bellies, right? Rasulullah tells us the worst container to fill is your belly. Those who fill their bellies do not have as much energy to do things. We know this in our lives. Particularly when you're fasting and you want to sleep. So it's not just the fact that you're eating cholesterol or sugar, all that, but the fact is that we are having, the food that we eat has spiritual effects upon us and our abilities. So how much prevention are we doing in just that simple aspect of our eating? And we will know, we can take account for ourselves. I will share with you that, and as you all know, I do some research in this community on our health, but in any case, that mashallah, Allah has blessed us with another bounty that we have many doctors in our community. Some would say that we have twice as many, the percentage of doctors is close to 5%, while the in the United States of Muslim doctors or even more, but the population of the Muslims is about 2.5%. So we have double the amount of doctors in our community than we have a population. The question to ask is our health twice as good as those who are outside this masjid? Is our health twice as good as those outside the masjid? Because not only do we have the bounty from Allah of the ni'am of the revelation that tells us and has many aspects to deal with this aspect of caring for our health and our bodies, but we also have the bounty of physicians and other allied health practitioners in our community. So are we twice as good as those outside in our metrics? Do we imagine when we are told that the Sahaba, that they are like stars and then you choose them and follow them to Jannah, any of them you want, that they were walking around with wearing 50 or 100 pounds of extra weight around their bellies and going to Badr and going to Uhud? Do we imagine that this was their state? That if we want to follow them to Jannah, that they were ones who were carrying overweightedness around them, that they were eating fill, right? Some of them we know from the seerah that they would have one date or almost nothing to eat, but they are filling their bellies and consuming themselves towards perdition. Is this what we imagine of them as our exemplars? Is this what we imagine of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If the answer is no, then who are we following? What example are we following? What are we inculcating upon the future generation in our health? Because as the hadith that we began with says, that also Allah SWT asks us in our meeting with Him on the day of judgment, one of the first things, أول ما يسأل عن, right? العبد من النعم ألم نصح لك جسمك. Did I not give you your body with health or soundness? And that all the things that we do to it have an effect upon it. Have an effect upon our ability to do the ibadah and to do the amal as-salih that we want. So thinking about this in a sense helps us. I just focusing on in this brief reminder for myself on the preventive aspect of our eating. But there are other. If we look and we imagine that we are not as good in prevention in terms of eating and other things, but we know that we have other ways to assess how good we are physically. Do we exercise? Can any of us go and run a mile without stopping? We know Rasulullah would raise his wife, right? We know the hadith. He was raising his wife. Do we have an ability to do that? Do we think we can encounter that? Much less go and fight the battle in Uhud or Badr. Do we imagine? No. If we do not, then the question becomes how we care for assess ourselves. And we know that some of prevention, mashallah, Allah has given us this bounty of many doctors in our community, and you've heard many sort of reminders that you should be taking care of yourself by getting your blood pressure checked and your glucose checked and your cholesterol checked and all these sorts of things. And we know that there are amongst us are organizations that care for that. Even those who don't have insurance, they will say, let us do your screening, let us take care of this for you, let us give you a synopsis or assessment of where you're at. Do we advantage ourselves of that? And in the 5+ years that we have been doing some work in this community and others around Chicago, and assessing, going to masajid and making surveys and interviewing people, I will share with you just one data point, and the rest we can talk about some other time. That more than 1/3 of our wives have not had a mammogram in the last 2 years. 1/3. And they'll tell you why. But the fact is that forget about us men and speaking to us. We sit here and we think we have so much. But what about, that just gives you, what about those in our family that we're responsible for? Our wives and our children. Have they gone and are they doing well? Are we asking about them? If we think that we are like the sun and we will extinguish ourselves, right, by making money and providing the house and provision, are we worrying about their health and their provision in that? If we're not, we should be. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله وأستغفركم بسم الله وأستغفر. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا ومن سيئات اعمالنا من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. أما بعد. So in the first reminder for ourselves, it gives a snapshot of where we're at, and each one of us can answer the questions of how much we are prepared to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment when He asks us about the health and the body that He gave us. We should know that the body for us is an amana, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we created man في أحسن تقويم, in the best of forms. And that this body is given to us, and as Imam Ghazali said in the Kimi' Sa'adat, that it's given to us as a seat to ride upon towards meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That this vessel that we have, that enables us to do the amal as-salih, to do the ibadah, right, to earn the provision for both His dunya and the akhirah, that this is given to us as a loan from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that we were speaking in the first part of the khutbah about what amal we do with it, and part of that is taking preventive actions, but then it will be asked what care we took for it. Right? When we read the ayat in the Quran, when Allah says in Surah Aasim about that the aydiyakum yashhadu arjulukum aydikum, that your hands and your feet will be testifying, there are many ways to interpret that. Yes, and amal, but also them. Did you use these hands and these feet? What did you take care of them for? How did you treat them? When we are physically resurrected and placed in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what stage will our bodies be in? What vision will we show Him of what we cared for, the thing that He gave us, so we might feel not only great provision for the akhirah, but feel pleasure in this dunya. It is the means and instrument for our pleasure in this dunya. What care did we take? Are we fulfilling that trust from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Right? So much so is this body important for us to think about. That Rasulullah even stopped, and because of time I'm not going to go through all the hadith, but even Rasulullah stopped people from abusing their body in excessive worship. In excessive worship. That we are narrated to us that a man, right, Rasulullah was told about a man who stands all night in prayer, he fasts all day, and Rasulullah says to him, right, that وَأَنَّ لِنَفْسِكَ حَقٌّ وَلِيَحْلِكَ حَقٌّ فَصُمْ وَافْطِرْ وَقُمْ وَرُمْ. Right, that your nafs, your body in a sense, your body has a right over you, that your family has a right over you. So do what? So fast some days and don't fast some days. Pray and sleep. That even the excess of ibadah that we think is the most important thing for us to give to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to show that we are testifying to His lordship over us. Even in that action, Rasulullah counseled moderation. Even in that action. So when we think about what we do with our body, and we are going to return this trust to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how are we going to say that we took care of it such that it is strong, that it is enabled us to do the things that He wanted us to do, that it is returned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a goodly state. So my reminder to ourselves, let's take care of the body in the means, because it is the means for us to gain felicity in this dunya and the akhirah. Now, just two things I want to mention in the end. So as I mentioned, part of this is that we've been doing some work here for 5+ years in our Muslim community. And we must remember, as men and the women are up there, but the men, let's remember the hadith of Rasulullah that he says, right, that each one of you is like a caretaker of a flock. That you'll be asked, and he said, the first category becomes the rijal. You'll be asked about your family, that you're in charge of them. Not just in charge of them in terms of provision, but spiritually, physically, in their care, right? That we know that we will be responsible for how they are formed, the ethical, moral formation of our families, how they are centered. So if we are responsible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at that meeting, Not only does He ask us about how we took care of ourselves, our health and our bodies, but He asks us, I gave you charge over these children. I gave you responsibility over your wives. What did you do? What are their actions? Are we prepared to answer that we took care of them physically, spiritually, emotionally? That in our families we established, not only because we know the integral nature of health, that we made our household a household of health, physically, spiritually, emotionally. That our children went and got those things they need to get. Right? And for us, we don't think about it, but the school does. We have to get the vaccines and all these other things. But just think about it. How much time do we say that our children need to get this test? As men, we take them to the doctor, or we need to make sure that they have this issue, or they need braces, our children or our wives. As I just mentioned, that one snippet shows you if the wife is not good, then the rest of the family cannot be good. If they don't get the preventive screenings, they don't go to their doctors for various reasons, then how can we expect that our children or ourselves will be taken care of? Because you will be asked, right? We will be asked. And we will focus so much on other things, but this thing we often forget. The other thing I will mention to you, so that we know from our work in this community that this is a big problem. That the women up there tell us that the men don't care. That the men don't care, they don't help us, they don't worry about any of this. But the other thing that they mention is the fact that, and you know this, and not just men, actually women, men and women both mention, that you will go to a gathering and you will say, Allah ne jo likha hai wohi hoega. Allah ne jo likha hai wohi hoega, right? But whatever Allah has written for us is going to happen, so I don't need to worry about any of these sorts of things. That whenever my death is destined, it's destined. If it's destined for my heart attack, it's destined for a heart attack, a car accident, whatever, it doesn't matter because Allah has written it. And we know the speech from the surface level is a little bit problematic because we know hadith i'kilha wa tawakkul, that you should be doing your work, right? I'kilha, tie it and then trust, wa tawakkul. But it's also problematic because, and I'll just mention this, that this is an ideology that has been condemned by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But not just this hadith, but they were within our community, and you should ask him, mashallah, you have Mufti Nazim here now as a new Imam, and other ulama and shuyukh, but you should ask about those corrupt ideologies, the Jabariyya wa Qadariyya, right? People who felt that Jabariyya, that Allah, there is no human free will of action. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined, that's it, you're done. And the Qadariyya said that Allah has nothing to say, whatever we do will result with it. And that also condemned both these groups and said that we are in the middle. You act and then you hope for the outcome of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the fact that you hear this in our gatherings and we know, hey, do you think, it doesn't matter, I don't have to do this, Allah has written my death for me, that this is not only a surface level incorrect matter, but it's an incorrect matter in aqidah. That we should not be testifying to this. Whether we mean it, we oftentimes just say jokingly. But this is not the way of our the Sunnah wal Jama'ah. That we should be thinking about that we do our work, we do our actions for our health and for our spiritual salvation, and then we trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So with that, and I mention this because this is a rampant idea, that when you talk to people, as I have been as a health researcher, that this comes up over and over again. And it should not be something that we should be allowing to exist within our community. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you and I become those who meet Him on the Day of Judgment in a state that is goodly. And I say that's goodly not only with our amal that are replete with sincerity and ikhlas, not only that our ibadah is replete with sincerity and ikhlas, but we return to Him in a state that our bodies and the trust that He's given us are those that we've taken care of. And may also help you and I become conscious and cognizant of the fact that one of the integral things for us to meet Him in a good state and to do the amal and the ibadah is our health. And that we are thankful for it. That Allah will help us to be amongst those who take care of our families and those around us, that we not only worry about them spiritually and financially, but rather physically and emotionally as well. That we make sure that the health of ours, those who we're entrusted with, is taken care of. May Allah help you and I to become more cognizant as we open this next chapter of our life, this next phase in our life, that we, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, that we take care of those things that He has given us, amongst which is health, amongst which is our spiritual salvation. That we not only those individuals who do the ibadah with ikhlas, that we sit here and stand, but He gives us the tawfiq to be those who stand more in night in prayer, who fast more in day and in the nafil days, who do more of the Quran and prayer of the Quran, recitation of the Quran, that we meet again inshallah in the next Ramadan in a better state than the one that we left with. So may Allah help you and I amongst those individuals that is pleasing with their judgment. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اغفر وارحم وانت خير الراحمين. اللهم اغفر وارحم وانت خير الراحمين. ربنا اغفر وارحم وانت خير الراحمين. الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات يا رب العالمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم وذكروا الله تعالى على وعز وجل وأكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. يقيم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا